Carol, thank you very much. Thank you. Now, the Conservative Chief Whip, Andrew Mitchell, is coming under more pressure over allegations he swore at police officers in Downing Street and referred to one of them as a pleb.
Mr Mitchell's admitted swearing, but denied directing the words at the officer. The Sun newspaper this morning claims it's seen notes made by police after the outburst contradicting his account, and he's now saying he's going to make a statement from Downing Street at 8 o'clock. Well, let's talk to the Deputy Prime Minister, Nick Clegg, about this. He's at his party's conference in Brighton this morning. Mr Clegg, thanks very much for joining us. Andrew Mitchell, is he going to resign in about 10 minutes' time? If it turns out that his original account of what he said was not entirely true, do you think he should resign then? Thanks very much. One piece of good news for you this morning.
Thank you.
The spoof apology song, Nick Clegg Says I'm Sorry, has entered the charts. It's in the top 150.
Well, there you go.
You never know. Nick Clegg, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, Bill talking to him about Andrew Mitchell, the Chief Whip, Andrew Mitchell, Conservative Chief Whip, will be making a statement to the media at 8 o'clock in Downing Street. We will carry that live here on Breakfast for you.
Right now, let's get news, travel and weather where you are.
Hello, good morning to you. This is Breakfast with Bill Turnbull and Louise Minchin.
There's increasing pressure this morning on the Conservative Chief Whip, Andrew Mitchell. Good morning. It's Monday, the 24th of September.
Also today, former England and a 4-year-old child model with Down syndrome is one of the stars of a major advertising campaign for Marks & Spencer this Christmas. His mum will be here with him to tell us why she was so keen for him to get involved.
We're going to take you live to Downing Street in a couple of minutes for the Andrew Mitchell statement. The Tory Chief Whip expected to make a statement of some sort, sort of updating possibly his position on the controversy over his argument with police officers at the gates of Downing Street last week. We'll bring that to you as soon as it happens.
And just a few moments ago, we were speaking to Nick Clegg and Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg, saying that Andrew Mitchell should give a full account of his row with police at the gates of Downing Street. We'll see what he has to say shortly. We have got our cameras there. He's not there at the moment, but as soon as it happens, we'll bring it to you.
Let's bring you our other main story while we wait. The former England captain John Terry has announced his retirement from international football just hours before a disciplinary hearing into allegations that he racially abused another player.
In July, the Chelsea defender was cleared of any criminal charges. Last night, he said the English Football Association's decision to pursue charges against him had made his position in the national team untenable.
Well, Sally, here's Andrew Mitchell
after the incident on Wednesday night.
Well, that's a fairly brief statement from Andrew Mitchell there, saying he'd apologised to the police officer involved, that they'd accepted his apology, and he wanted to draw a line under the incident from there.
And asked very specifically, you saw it, about whether or not he used that word pleb. He said, I did not use the words attributed to me, and that he did not show the police the amount of respect that he should have done. We'll have more on that later. Should we go back to Sally?
Yeah. So, thanks very much. We'll get a player's view in a few minutes, speaking to the former footballer Steve Claridge about that announcement.
Now, let's go back to one of our other main stories. And £1 billion of taxpayers' money will be invested in a new business bank to try to kickstart lending to small and medium-sized companies.
The Business Secretary Vince Cable will make the announcement at the Liberal Democrat conference in Brighton today. He says the new bank will offer money to firms which have struggled to get credit since the start of the financial crisis. The struggling business sports retailer JJB Sports has appointed administrators after failing to find a buyer. The Wigan
Police are continuing to search for a 15-year-old schoolgirl who is believed to have run away with one of her teachers. It's thought that Megan Stammers, who's from Eastbourne, disappeared on Friday. Let's get more details from our news correspondent, John Brain. Morning, John. What more can you tell us?
Morning. I want to take you back to the Andrew Mitchell story. The Tory Chief Whip making a statement at the gates of Downing Street this morning, again saying he did not use the word pleb when speaking to police officers last week, but has apologised to everyone involved. Let's get more from our political correspondent Gary O'Donoghue, who was listening to it all. He joins us from Downing Street. Gary, does this shed any more light on what went on, or is it more of an entrenched position for Mr Mitchell? It's Gary O'Donoghue in Downing Street.
The current system of electronically tagging criminals is too expensive and doesn't stop reoffenders, according to new research.
A woman's been killed by a fallen branch in Kew Gardens during the stormy weather, which is expected to continue battering most of the UK today. The woman, believed to be in her 30s, died yesterday afternoon. Today, the Environment Agency has issued dozens of flood warnings, with the southwest of England likely to be worst affected. We can get more now from John Maguire in Devon. Morning, John. Well, you've got a swollen river behind you there. What's the general picture? Thanks very much, John Maguire in Devon. And
of course, Carol will have a full weather forecast, all the details for you here on Breakfast in the next few minutes.
12 minutes past 8. It's fair to say John Terry's England career has had its ups and downs, to put it mildly, actually. Now, though, after 9 years, it has come to an end.
Yes, last night he announced his retirement from international football just hours before a disciplinary hearing into allegations he racially abused another player. Joining us now to discuss this, is this sort of like a preemptive strike, do you think, from John Terry?
I think so. Yeah, I think he will have had some indication of probably from an element to it that he feels has been a bit of a vendetta. I mean, we have to.
It's a tricky situation in some ways because he's been cleared, hasn't he? Actually, in a court of law.
Yeah.
But then still faces disciplinary.
Well, I mean, there are some people obviously wondering exactly why the FA have carried the baton on, shall we say?
You finally draw a line under this whole incident, which was, you know, a remark allegedly made, then denied by him at a football game, what, more than a year ago now. At some point, surely this has got to come to an end.
Well, it will come to an end.
He's playing for England, but he plays on, though, doesn't he?
Of course. I mean, that's another area where, you know, that there has been, obviously, he's had a few injuries, and you know, you wouldn't say that.
What does an England player? I mean, was it more than nearly 80? More than 80
78 caps.
78 caps.
Yeah, so...
It is exactly 8:15 coming up on Breakfast today. Lots of weather warnings out. Carol has all the details for you. Very good morning, Carol.
Good morning. You're absolutely right, Louise.
We'll follow those details all morning. Thank you.
19 minutes past 8. At the end of the Paralympics, the organisers claimed the Games and the success of British athletes had what they called a seismic effect in changing attitudes towards people with disabilities.
But will that apparent shift in opinion be seen beyond sport in our everyday lives? Well, one major retailer has chosen a little boy with Down syndrome for its Christmas campaign. 4-year-old Seb, thanks very much all for joining us. Tell us a little bit about Seb, apart from being gorgeous.
Well, he has, yes. It all happened rather quickly. Our thoughts were based on the sort of outdated stereotypes, so I just felt it was really key to get the message out there that it's really not that bad.
Nigel, the decision to use Seb in the M&S campaign was actually made before the Paralympics, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was. We're much more accepting of these things and looking at new ways.
That he got involved in this anyway, because you looked at a photo and you realised there was nobody like your family in that sort of photo. Is that what it was?
Yes, when he was born.
Just doing some colouring lessons with Seb at the moment as well. But while we do, Nigel, does it represent a risk for M&S in a way in this marketing? Because they did have that campaign a few years ago where they presented a women of average build, if you like, as one of their models, romping across the countryside saying, "I'm free," and it rather backfired on them.
Well, I don't think so.
Heroes of the Paralympics as well, and we can see many of them will be used. Will they in marketing campaigns, or what do you think will happen?
I mean, it would have been unheard of even 4 or 5 years ago for the Paralympics. Yeah. Absolutely unheard of 5 years ago.
It's quite a change, isn't it?
What do you hope ultimately will come out of this campaign?
For me, if we can... Boring, yes.
Sometimes in the playground for any kid. Do attitudes in the paved? I bet you would.
Fair, he's a 4, but yeah, he...
Thanks very much. Who have you got there? Who is that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say thank
and Nigel,
you.
thank you very much too. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
No, it's a simple idea. When you're cooking a meal, just make an extra portion and share it with an elderly neighbour who might need the nutrition and also the company.
Well, as budget cuts start to affect council services like Meals on Wheels, it's something which its supporters think could be essential in plugging the gap. Graham Satchel's been to meet the people involved in the new project in Surrey.
And at the moment, that scheme is being given a trial run in Surrey, but the founders hope that it will expand to other parts of the UK. And if you want details of where that is, you can go to the website bbc.co.uk/breakfast.
It's 27 minutes past 8. Coming up.
Here on Breakfast, though, Stephen K. Amos used to tell his friends that his mum was Shirley Bassey, but I don't think they believed him. Start with the news, travel and weather, where you are. Very good morning. This is Breakfast with Bill Turnbull and Louise Minchin.
Our main story this morning, the Conservative Chief Whip, Andrew Mitchell, has spoken publicly for the first time about his confrontation with police officers at Downing Street last week.
Newspaper reports claim Mr Mitchell swore and called officers plebs when they refused to let him use the main gate. A short while ago, he repeated his assertion that he did not use that word. Well, let's speak to our political correspondent, Gary O'Donoghue. And Gary, this is, of course, an attempt to draw a line under it, as he said. What do you think will happen?
In other news this morning, the former England captain John Terry has announced his retirement from international football just hours before a disciplinary hearing at Wembley into allegations that he racially abused another player. £1 billion of taxpayers' money will be invested in a new business bank to try to kickstart lending to small and medium-sized companies. The business secretary.
Police are continuing to search for a 15-year-old schoolgirl who's believed to have run away with a teacher. It's thought.
The current system of electronically tagging criminals is too expensive and doesn't stop reoffending, according to new research. The policy.
Have a look at this lucky escape. A lorry.
I should think he was counting every second.
I bet he was. Those are the main stories for you this morning. Let's have a look at what is coming up later in the programme. Oh, it looks lots of fun. Let's catch up with sports. Sally's here. Good morning again, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned just in the news stories there that the John Terry hearing today, and I know that we have it confirmed in the last few months these days. You know, Tiger Woods has recently become the first golfer to earn $100 million in prize money alone. So that's just prize money.
$11.5 million for winning one tournament.
Yes, but that's also
some money, isn't it?
Not bad.
Not bad for what? How many rounds of golf? 3?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think they practice.
All right.
I think they practice. Yes, Sally. I think they work quite hard.
All right, Sally, thanks very much. 21 minutes to 9. It affects 750,000 people in the UK. It's more deadly than some cancers, and yet it's claimed most of us know remarkably little about heart failure.
Yes, contrary to popular opinion, it doesn't mean that the heart stops working completely, but it instead means the muscle is badly damaged and can't pump blood around the body properly, so sufferers struggle to breathe.
Well, with us now, Dr. Mike Joan, you have this condition as a result of a heart attack just after giving birth to one of your children, is that right?
I do, yeah. 7 years ago. I went in and gave birth to my son on the Friday, in and out on the same day, because everything was lovely and easy. And then the following Monday,
Thereafter, then, there were complications in terms of the heart failure. What's that?
And Dr. Mike Napton, she's not alone in this in any sense, is she? So what happens when you have so-called heart failure? Because it sounds very worrying.
Yeah, it's rather unlikely, and we want to do something about that.
And in certain cases, it feels like you're drowning.
In the most acute so acute heart failure. And what's happening there is that the lungs, the heart is pumping poorly, the lungs are filling up with CO2.
So that's when it becomes an emergency situation, but it's been life-limiting in some ways for you, hasn't it?
It has, from healthy and able to go to a gym and do all the running around after.
It's a condition, really.
Fill in a call.
Yeah, we might give him a call. But with that, we believe that we can invest in cardiovascular research centres across the United Kingdom. We're already doing this. And treatment.
And just tell us, you've got a pacemaker fitted now, so you are much better than you were at the beginning. But what are your kind of hopes for the future, really?
Well, let's hope you will be. Joanne, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
And Mike Napton. Thank you. Thank you.
And you can find out more details about the Mending Broken Hearts campaign on our website, bbc.co.uk/breakfast.
Now, let's catch up with the weather, because it's all pretty dramatic this morning. Here's Carol.
Thank you. I know you'll keep us right up to date. Now, a military hospital may not seem like the obvious setting for comedy, but the play Our Boys promises to make audiences laugh with its honest but entertaining account of soldiers recovering from battle injuries.
Yeah, it's written by Jonathan Lewis and is based on his own experiences. He's here with... And you play a character called... Harry.
Yeah.
One of a series of... A group of soldiers.
People.
Are they all squaddies or...?
Yeah, well, one of them more wary than others.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy who was shot in the head in an IRA ambush.
Long before Iraq and Afghanistan, but does it have a relevance to today?
I think so.
So this is based on... So you were in the army and you were in a military hospital, and so it's based on what your experience is?
Yeah, I was...
I'm guessing he's played by Lawrence Fox.
No.
Really?
By Jolene... Lawrence is...
Really?
Yeah.
Is Lawrence not playing posh?
He's not playing posh.
No. Good.
Newsflash.
How refreshing.
Yeah, I know. No, and he's very good. He's very, very good.
Who plays the posh character then?
A guy called Jolene Coy, who's a very, very good actor.
Yeah.
And he comes into the ward late, does he, and then stirs things up a bit?
Yeah.
Presumably with soldiers there's a bit of language. There's always a lot of language.
There's a bit of language in it, yeah.
About anything to do with soldiers, they always make a very tight group, don't they? So they're not only do you have the banter, but the relationships are also very tightly wound as well, I would imagine.
Indeed, and
Arthur, to research the play, you've met.
It's been brilliant actually. We've met some young, very good at it.
Are you good at that?
Not quite.
You did some real drill, didn't you?
Yeah.
And did you get? What was it? Did you get?
We got shouted.
Out?
Yeah, we got really shouted.
What did they say?
Well, I can't really repeat on morning.
Lance Sergeant in the Grenadier Guards. So he was a huge.
I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, and this weekend is a big moment. In it for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know you can't tell us what's going to happen.
No, but it's my last. Last episode.
Yours and Karen's last episode.
Yeah.
Gosh,
very
hasn't it? The two of you are kind of his helpers, followers, whatever, aren't you? And it's been a completely different take on that, which has been fun, hasn't it?
It's been great.
Tissue, we have to be ready for tears on Saturday, do we?
Tears,
All right then.
Oh, I have them already.
Thanks very much. Boys opens at the Duchess Theatre
on Wednesday, the 3rd of October, with previews from Wednesday, the 26th of September. A couple of days.
8 minutes to 9. It had been nominated for a record 16 awards. In the end, though, it was a rather disappointing night for Downton Abbey at the Emmys last night. Dame Maggie Smith did win for Best Supporting Actress, but the drama missed out on the other major categories.
Yes, but there was better news for British actor Damian Lewis. He picked a Best Actor award for his role in Homeland. Our LA correspondent Alistair Leithhead was on the red carpet.
Now, here's a man who might win an Emmy one day. When he was a child, Stephen K. Amos used to tell his classmate his mum was Shirley Bassey, so they'd think he was cool.
Nowadays, he doesn't have to try quite so hard to get attention. After all, he is one of the UK's first. Let's have a look at you in action.
Morning, Stephen. That is a true story.
Good morning, Bill.
Yes. To the extent that didn't they ask her to go and open the fate?
Well, that's
They believed that she was Shirley Bassey.
Yeah, she had dark sunglasses on, a big rimmed hat, and a feather boa. She looked amazing.
And it all went off fine?
But not really.
Terrible fibber, because you also kidded your friends that you were close friends with 5-star, who were in the studio just recently, who said they'd never heard of you before till you were famous. And to the extent that you actually had to go and buy them all tickets because you then claimed they'd been freebies.
Well, what you've got to remember, though, is 5 were my cousins. And, of course, they weren't. I've never been to Essex before in my life. And so I had to buy them all. Louise, yeah. And they're like that, can't wait.
Oh, it is interesting, you know, you talk about life being quite different then in South London. And there's a story where you come back from school and you go, Mum, there's a black boy in my class, but I can't find him.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's you, isn't it?
Yeah, because my mum, you know.
It sounds like a very busy household. We were trying to count up the number of people in your family. It is 10, including your parents. They came over from Nigeria. Then they took you all back out to Nigeria. Then they brought you all back again.
Yes.
That must have been confusing.
Well, whatever my parents mention, because there's nothing worse than sitting around the dinner table with all these kids. Your mum leans over to your brother, points to you and goes, "Who is that? I don't recognize this child, but Mum, I'm your son. Did we adopt him? I'm not Madonna. Who is this?" And also, and it must have been quite a very difficult existence for them, you know, all the stuff that they had met. And so I grew up thinking, oh my God, what am I? Am I Nigerian? Then you can tell them what they want to hear. It's very...
I love the fact that you didn't just tell, you know, tell people stories. You also managed to copy your sisters and other people's work by watching the loops in the pens.
You know, but a very clever child, nonetheless. You know, I tried to...
There's some very sharp memories in a sense. This is not so much an autobiography as a collection of snapshots from your early life.
Yes.
One thing that is not focused on sharply is exactly how old you are.
Sister, because she's a twin.
As long as my playing range is 26 to 50, I'm happy with that.
It's either 1970 or 1967, wasn't it?
I think you'll find it's either... Take your pick. The reason why you said earlier, Bill, about, you know, maybe I'll get an Emmy.
It's definitely not 1976 because you would have been too young then to have been in their routines.
No, not necessarily. No, 5-star. And Shirley Bassey had a resurgence.
Are you still the same age as your sister?
No, she's older than me now. I'm a godfather to her kids. The older man going, Master William.
No. Who's moved on 20, 30.
No, what's wrong with you, Bill? Look at me. I've still got it.
You certainly have.
Stephen's book, I used to say, do you still say she's Shirley Bassey, your mum? I used
to say my mother was Shirley Bassey. It's out now. He's on tour, actually, starting Wakefield on October the 3rd. Yeah, and it's very funny. The story about, which we can't talk about, when you stopped for a comfort break for your girlfriend, had me in fits.
Thank you very much.
Good to meet you. In a few moments, we'll be speaking to the actress Tamsin Greig. But first of all, last quick look at what is happening where you are.
Oh, we have a bit of a tough question, well, to ask. You can ask it.
OK, we're going to cut straight to the chase and ask Tamsin Greig the question I know she loves being asked. What was it like? I don't think you need to answer it, actually, because the face said it all.
Gloria's career, markedly different from her new role as a 50-year-old middle-class teacher in the play Jumpy, a role that many parents will find all too easy to relate to. Here she is. Oh, I feel stressed just listening to that. I really do, because so much of that play resonates with parents of teenage children.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
It's very interesting. Every audience is completely different, and you can never, ever judge what reaction you're going to get.
It seemed to me a majority of women in it, though. I mean, I was virtually the only man in the back stalls.
You were not.
I was.
You were just too embarrassed.
So it's about you play a 50-year-old with teenage...
That's rude, isn't it?
Yes. It is rude. I was very... That's
above your
well,
range.
I'm an actor.
Yes.
So,
are they? Why shouldn't you look like that on camera?
Well, that's the...
But you actually, you play the mother of one very feisty teenager, but actually, you're not yet that age.
They're not.
Be the mother of teenage prince?
Well, we do obviously have lots of them. We do. And it's really exciting and invigorating.
Tell us about the teenager, Belle, the actress. She's very good, isn't she, in this?
Belle, who plays my daughter, she's 15 and becomes 16 and then 17 in the play, and she's actually 20. So again, is playing
so she's been through it
beyond her age range.
It's much more. There's much more about it than just sort of the mother-daughter thing. There's about sort of whatever happened to feminism, whatever happens to women of a certain age. Marital asks a lot of questions. I'm not sure, and makes everybody in that particular bracket think a little bit about themselves, really.
Well, it's unsettling.
If you sit there with your spouse and you think people will be having, is that what you think of me? That sort of thing.
Yeah, but I realise, and what's so brilliant about this play is that every time we do it, I think us, but us forgiving our parents.
But, I mean, in some ways, at least you're kind of tackling, because your children are younger than that, aren't they? I mean, sort of tackling it now, so that's going to presumably, is it going to help when they get to that teenager stage?
I'm hoping that if this is a prophetic vision for our lives, I now have all the lines.
Obviously.
They're all memorised.
They're all stacked up.
I just do them every day. Once this play is over for the next 5 years, I'm fine, I'm sorted. Thanks, April.
Good. We need to talk about a couple of other things going on in your life. Episodes.
There will.
See, no kissing.
No kissing. Right. No grey hair in that one.
So there will be. So when do you film? Do you know any of that, or
next year? We'll be doing.
I've been part of the Archers, sort of absent and then coming back and going a nice part really as Debbie.
Yeah.
Occasionally, she can be back again, or what's the story?
I don't know.
It's great, that, isn't it? Though.
But they have been
off somewhere, and then when you've got time, you can nip back to Ambridge.
They have been amazingly flexible. I mean, when things started to get busy in other areas, I did say
that's just brilliant that you can negotiate. That's fantastic. And do you listen as well to the Archers?
Tamsin, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Love it. Is appearing in Jumpy at the Duke of York's Theatre in London West End until the 3rd of November. Thank you for coming.
It should be required viewing for all parents of teenagers, really. That's all from us this morning. Back at 6, when Alicia Keys will be with us, and Will Young. Maybe we get them seen together. You never know.
That would be fantastic. See you soon. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.